Здравствуйте, дорогие друзья, наш воскресный
Good
вебинар.
morning, dear friends. Our Sunday webinar.
Good day.
Here we have Samuel Vinokur,
Три причины скрытия Творца. Известно,
and we have 3 reasons for concealment of the Creator. We're translating it to 22 languages. We have our clubs in Kiev, St. Petersburg, and Moscow. And we have our graduates from our new course from 2017. So please ask questions, and we're going to try and include them. So our topic is three reasons of concealment of the Creator, as Brother Salam writes in his article. 3 reasons are: one is there's no necessity, it's impossible, and of course there's also the general concealment of the Creator. So why is he concealed?
The Creator is concealed because man needs freedom of will, first of all. The Creator is nature, general nature, not what we have in mind when we say nature, but a general force that draws us, that controls us in every way, every time. And to such an extent that even what I'm saying now is also dictated to me by the Creator, by nature. What I desire, what I think, all of my heart, all of my mind, they are activated entirely by nature. So, if it were revealed to us very clearly, very obviously, the Creator's governance of all of us, every cell, every organism, every event within us, outside of us, as it is said, I am first and I am the last. I am first meaning from the very beginning, everything that happens from me, and it spreads across all the system, the inanimate, vegetative, animate, and human levels of nature, and then everything that happens also happens with my consent, with my will, and there is not a cell, there is not an atom that could do anything on its own volition. Thus, if this were revealed, that the start and the end of all the actions and all of their combinations, permutations, and all the billions of metamorphoses that they undertake, if all this were revealed to people, then people would naturally lose their freedom of will. They wouldn't be able to move, they wouldn't be able to do anything as if independently, meaning they would reveal themselves as absolutely mechanistic toys, and all the rest of the nature as well. So, the Creator is concealed from all nature from the very beginning in order to give the opportunity for everyone, for all creatures, the opportunity to have freedom of will. This freedom of will doesn't exist, in fact, but there is the illusion of it that we all have. That's first. Second, as we begin to understand it, and the Kabbalists actually attain it, this sensation comes to us in the sensation of embryo. We talked about it at the Congress in Vilnius, our latest Congress. We talked about the fact that we need to reach the first spiritual degree called embryo. That's when a person fully nullifies himself and wants to be in the Creator's governance, meaning he wants to reveal the truth, the first degree of his existence, the first truly accurate degree. And when this reveals to him, he makes first contact with the Creator, and then after this line, now when he enters the Creator's omnipotent domain, he begins to start working with his ego. He understands that the ego he has is a very precious, very valuable acquisition, because it is thanks to the ego that he feels this resistance to the Creator, and now he can start building himself to be like the Creator precisely thanks to this resistance. And that's very much like any mechanism we have in our world. inanimate, vegetative, animate, or human, or even the artificial system, there is always a resistance. There is always two forces, plus and minus. And then you have all sorts of various interconnections between them, and all sorts of systems can be built on those. So this is how we work with the Creator. On the one hand, He fully controls us, and on the other hand, we are not, we don't agree to just accept it as is. We want to attain it. We want to build it in ourselves. So you want to control us? Sure, that's fine. But I make a restriction. I make a tzimtzum. I put a barrier between us, and I say that I will carry out everything that you want me to do, but only to the extent that I can agree to with the fact that all this is coming from you and the way that you govern over me. So what happens here, it's a very interesting solution to the problem. The Creator has given us the opportunity first to figure out whether or not He is correct, whether He is ideal or omnipotent. He gives us the opportunity to research Him, and then to the extent that we make the decision to be like Him, I allow Him to govern over me. But then it's not Him that's doing it, but it's me doing it from myself. So it's as if we build the Creator in ourselves. It's not a simple method, that's true, but it truly elevates us to such a level that the man becomes completely equal to the Creator.
Can you tell me, will the Creator is concealed? I understand that. Is there anything else concealed from us other than the Creator?
No, nothing else. There is nothing else in existence.
And the science, Kabbalah, that explains to the person life, death, soul, such intimate topics, why was it concealed for so long? But someone writes here that there was no necessity, it was impossible, personal concealment. Can you please tell us by each point here, what does it mean? Of course, there was always a desire to know what the soul is, life, death.
No, absolutely not. People had the need in a very kind of material way. Like, I want to know so that I can get something more of it. For that, they were satisfied by religions, various beliefs. They made all sorts of idols for themselves, and they worshipped them, and so on. And they were content to do it. That was normal, sufficient for that level of development. And over the course of thousands of years, you see that that hasn't changed.
Why should I be revealed that there's no one's demanding for me to be revealed?
There is no point, yes.
So they have everything, they're perfectly content, and there's no necessity. And maybe we'll read a quote from Baal Salam. So the only necessity to know this only if there's a desire from the public, and whoever has more knowledge is also has a greater degree of concern. And of course, we already passed this period.
Partially, it depends where. Society isn't homogeneous across all of the world. You can't compare South America to North America, Europe to Africa, and so on.
What kind of knowledge is there in Kabbalah that can damage the public?
Absolutely any knowledge, not just Kabbalistic knowledge, but any knowledge. You see how from generation to generation, knowledge is revealed to the extent that the generation is advancing, and advancing actually, how I put it, not so much in the mind, that whether it can use the knowledge or not, but in their social interaction and order. Knowledge isn't revealed just like that.
So I'm just trying to think about our perception of reality. Everything in our world is like an illusion. Outside of us, there's nothing exists. As Salam writes, everything is in our mind. So how can this knowledge really damage anything that exists?
I don't know. I don't want to get into something like this, because it's not going to be clear to most people. But you see, for instance, that there isn't the opportunity to reveal the steam engine or electricity or nuclear technology in those generations, not in those generations where they were revealed, but 1,000 years before. Can you imagine, for instance, a society from 2,000 years ago, ancient Rome, ancient Greece, with all of their problems, with all of the issues that they had. And in addition to that, they have tanks and airplanes and rockets. All sorts of technology like cell phones, with their attitude towards the world, towards life, and then suddenly they have this technology in their hands. How can that happen? No, it's all in balance. It's revealed in this balance. And even then, we see sometimes the progress overtakes humankind's inner development, and it brings problems.
I recently read that human nature hasn't really changed at all. We haven't really become better than those Romans.
Of course not. There's a way we get used to it, we get accustomed, and the secrets of nature get revealed, technology and all of these things, in every generation.
And of course, we have a question from the webinar page. If from the beginning of time, people felt the connection to the upper world?
No, I'm sorry. No. The Kabbalists were very, very few in each generation. You cannot talk about them. At the beginning of time, the Kabbalists existed in the beginning of time and through now.
So we're talking about really unique individuals.
No, these are not the few either. They're schools, Kabbalistic schools, that we named them by the name of their leader.
So, let us see, your question wasn't very good. So if people who followed the knowledge of Kabbalah, why did they stop when they chose the desires of our world?
That was never the case, where common people have Kabbalah in their hands, but then they just relinquish it.
So Kabbalists never really decided not to follow Kabbalah, they always just follow this lineage.
That was never the case. Abraham wanted to disseminate Kabbalah across ancient Babylon, but nobody wanted to listen to him. A few people gathered around him and followed him.
Maybe people saw that the development of Judaism means progress, and they didn't want to follow him?
Even if they didn't see it, but you cannot follow a Kabbalist. It's not natural.
So this is what we're talking about with respect to Abraham.
Right. The Kabbalah is revealed only in a generation that has need for it, to the extent that this need is revealed.
Another question: if Kabbalah is open to everybody, what's its secret today?
There is no secret. There is never a secret in Kabbalah. Only the extent that society is able to accept it correctly, to adapt to it, to taste it, to use it correctly for its development. That's the entire problem, nothing else. So this is what happened with the book of Zohar, for instance. It is written that of all the students of Rabbi Shimon, only Rabbi Abba was able to write the book correctly. He couldn't do it. Rabbi Shimon couldn't do it. His son couldn't do it, but only Rabbi Abba. So you see, there is also a problem here of how to convey Kabbalah in order to make it accessible and yet at the same time correctly, smoothly, and concealed. So the revelation needs to be so special that as you read the Kabbalistic text, it can be revealed to you, but perhaps not to your neighbor.
So then we have another, it's impossible. So this is with the limitational language that doesn't have the ability to pass these very sensitive Kabbalistic topics.
The thing is that language is gradually developing, and from generation to generation, and more importantly, the people's ability to grasp these nuanced explanations of Kabbalists, they're also developed from generation to generation. In our time, such events started happening, such connections, such discoveries, where it's much easier to explain Kabbalah than it used to be. Look at technology, mechanization, nature in general, the discoveries of all the continents, even the discovery that the Earth is round. The Zohar, 2,000 years ago, wrote about the fact that the Earth is round. Abraham before him, even 1,500 years before him. But 500 years ago, people were still being burned for saying that. So now there is the opportunity to talk about it, to explain it. But if we're talking about the Creator, how can you talk about something that doesn't exist within the confines of human consciousness, human imagination? You can't imagine the Creator. It's like air. You cannot describe the Creator. Here we're coming up against something that cannot be grabbed, grasped, touched, pulled, hung on a wall, nothing. It's just a force that before it takes shape of something, when you can make a certain form, put it in some sort of a revelation, right? You cannot sense it in any way. So how can you come to a person and teach them?
So he also writes here that even though people don't really fully have the understanding, then they come to knowledge that knocks them off the true path, so they can only reveal these things when the Kabbalist attains a certain high level.
I don't think that it can be changed. Humanity will come closer to it, to grow into it. But the Kabbalists have always been trying to come down to humanity and to explain, to make simpler their explanations. But I think that truly, in the end, only in their similarity to the upper force will humanity be able to reveal it.
Сила, энергия, действительно еще передать методику ее постижения, поэтому придумали разные традиции, песни, танцы, всевозможные.
What about all the traditions, the rituals that the people were doing religiously, all sorts of ceremonies to be closer to the upper force? All religions across generations were made because precisely we couldn't sense, we couldn't feel that force. But we have no actual idea what this force wants from us. And that's why humanity was willing to accept on faith anything that they couldn't feel.
So Kabbalists, in order to pass their knowledge, they also invented all sorts of traditions. Is that how it is?
Yes, but no, Kabbalists don't have any traditions. They have also only exercises how to grow within themselves this force of the soul, to become closer to the Creator, to this quality, the force. Otherwise, Kabbalists don't have any sort of exercises or physical actions. We study together, we do some things together.
So there are no external...
Right, no external actions or attributes.
Yeah,
what
so
external attributes do you need in order to be closer to the Creator? What, do I need to wear a special hat? or put on like a vest or special shoes? What? There's absolutely nothing. I may be naked. Or I can maybe wear anything I want. I would still be one with the Creator, similar to Him. The Creator only cares about qualities. To what extent are they similar to His? Or if they're not, to what extent do I aspire to be like Him? Only that's important. Host.
And what Kabbalists have written?
The fact that the Kabbalists put down this information in this way and confused humanity, is that okay? Is that considered normal?
They didn't confuse the community confused themselves because they didn't have the abilities to fully comprehend this knowledge, and of course they became confused in this, and this is how they created the religions and all these other systems of beliefs. But Kabbalah itself doesn't meant to confuse a person, but only to reveal the vision of the Creator to people.
We have a question from Lugansk. How many people are capable of spiritual attainment? Not everyone is, right?
It is said that everyone will perceive me from small to the old, and everyone will be able to pray to me, so that there's nothing that can really cut a person off from the Creator, and everybody will attain Him. Everyone will attain Him, and it just depends on how, through which method, but more or less everyone will.
The next question is as follows. As you have said, from 1995, Kabbalah is beginning to reveal to the masses. Does that mean that the children born after 1995 are on a different spiritual level? More likely, it's easier for them to reveal spirituality, or is it easier to correct their ego?
It doesn't matter what kind of egoism they carry, more or less, what type, but what is important is that each and every next generation is more more sensitive to these abstract topics than the previous.
Can it be said that lower and lower souls are coming into the world?
Yes, they're coming, but they also work on themselves, and they can also attain higher levels, degrees.
You once said that animals in a vegetative nature, the Creator isn't concealed from them, they still feel Him.
What does it mean that they perceive? The Creator controls them without having the freedom of will, but they are part of our system. They are all included into a person, and when the person begins to advance forward, he, of course, also changes the inanimate and the animal and the vegetative world.
To follow up on your question, we have a question. Why is it that throughout the ages, Kabbalists have been wearing a special kind of clothing? What's that about?
I will tell you, there was a very special tradition that happened in old days. This was all in Mesopotamia. People began to walk around and cover their heads from the sun. Or maybe this was in ancient Israel or in Egypt. And today, even if you look at the Arabs, not the modern Arabs, but maybe Bedouins, they all walk around with their heads covered because it's impossible to go otherwise here. What's the temperature in Kiev and in Lithuania? I can see it's not so hot. But you know what the temperature is today here? It's 30 degrees Celsius. You see, you don't have this in the summer sometimes. Today it's beginning of the winter, and that's what it is. So you must understand this, but for the most part, Kabbalists don't really connect themselves or Kabbalistic attainments with some external rituals. The person doesn't need this at all, and the Creator also doesn't need this. So you can comfortably do whatever you want with your external appearance, but you just need to look like a normal human being, and that's it.
Question as follows. Can it be said that desires correspond to various periods? The Keter is the Big Bang, Bina is the appearance of formation of the world, and so on.
That's a good theory. You can continue. Then you will begin to perceive where things are not really connecting with our mistakes, but it's good.
I have an interesting question here. How can you understand Kabbalah through the language of branches, right? Kabbalah has been concealed, so how can we do it?
When they attain the upper world, at the same time, they begin to develop this language of branches. So what does it mean, the language of branches? I sense some sort of a force that acts in upper nature. I feel how it acts in me. And I see the consequences of this force and how it acts in this world. And this is how the language of branches appears. And it passes through the upper world, through me to the lower world. And in such a manner I can write about the upper world where there's no language, about what I perceive in this world, or using what I perceive in this world.
About the language of branches, we do need to clarify this. I'll use an example that I heard from you. Right, there are great many traditions and rituals, like washing of the hands, for instance. We know that in Kabbalah, hands are the desire to receive, and the water is binah. So in order to correct the masach, this action is made. Do I understand it that Kabbalists wouldn't be able to convey this information over thousands of years? So that's why they took this ritual that corresponds to the root and the branch, and they conveyed this information through this action.
For the most part, this is so. In order for the person to, when the person it used to be that a person would need to think their upper reason, what is it for, when he would perform various commandments.
That's why they spoke blessings as well, right?
Yeah, he would make a blessing. He would do this through the books that he would be given, and then in such a manner he became as though locked in a can for a few thousand years. And today we can kind of unlock this can and come out of it. So a person can begin to demand explanations for all of his actions that he would automatically do for the last few thousand years. But we see that for the most part, very interesting revolution has occurred. So sometime in 17th, 18th century, people started to leave religion. And they stopped turning to religion as something that's eternal and perfect and absolute truth.
Interesting. Something happened to fear, right? It used to be present in people.
Yeah, it's when the knowledge overtakes us, there's really no fear anymore. So that's why the main mass of people who would follow Judaism, they stop following it, and they see themselves as people who don't believe anything. And tradition is something completely different. It's like memory about some historical events, and no more than that.
Here's an interesting looking question. I crashed into Kabbalah, almost literally. Previous values are lost. I don't care about them anymore. I don't understand the new ones yet either. I'm stuck in the middle and knowing nothing. What do I do?
I will tell you, when a person comes to Kabbalah and he's a serious egoist, for a very long time he can't really find himself. He's prepared to do something and study and learn and work and do everything what they tell him. But where's the revelation of the Creator at the end? Where's this upper world that has to just be revealed to me, and that's it? I remember myself. I simply would go nuts. The nerves were at their edge. What is it? Where is it? And when? And I would very persistently demand. I can't say that this helped me, because I found myself in such a Kabbalistic group where you still had the students of Ba'al Salam. They were all old men. I was 35 years old, for example, and they were all maybe 70 and more. And when I would get upset, where is it? What is it? Where is it? And they would smile at each other, and they would smile, and they wouldn't give me an answer. So after a while, I had to come down, and I had to kind of keep this anger deep inside of me, and keep silent for many years because they didn't give an answer. They said a little more. And this little more and this little would lasted for a number of years. And I went through all sorts of states until in the end I began to have contact with spiritual forces, with Kabbalah. But this isn't simple. Right away you can't really attain anything. So for a while, dear person, you'll still have to really chew through all of this inside of you.
Today's time is still more effective.
Yeah, today everything moves a lot differently because we have all our lessons and all our congresses. You didn't have this in the past. You used to have one lesson a day. You understand?
Dmitry from St. Petersburg has a question about this. If people have become more egoistic, why is it that Kabbalah can only now be revealed for the biggest egoist, but the Kabbalah was allowed to be revealed earlier on to smaller egoists?
This is something that happens in all sciences. Logic has nothing to do with this. The world is becoming more and more egoistic on one hand, and masses become more and more passive on the other hand, but they also grow. So there's nothing to do other than you should understand that Kabbalah doesn't reveal in the world of egoism, but Rishimot. So informational writings that exist in the overall degree in nature, they begin to get revealed. If all of a sudden a person decides to study Kabbalah, all of a sudden he starts to know what the purpose of life is, how to reveal the Creator, what's the force that controls the world. All of a sudden I must know what is this and why is it in my destiny. All these questions don't suddenly appear inside him for no reason whatsoever. Very powerful forces work inside a person to excite him, and they support him. They support the person. So all in all, you should continue.
What about the following definition of Kabbalah? Do I understand it correctly? That Kabbalah is the formation of these connections between people despite resistances.
What is this needed?
In order to reveal the force called the Creator.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. We must reveal the positive force of nature in addition to our negative egoistic force that exists in each and every one of us and in all of us together. We must reveal the positive forces in nature, and we must do it in such a way where, in connection between the negative and positive force, we would be able to begin to perceive a new existence. So there's a positive force, a plus, and there's a negative force, a minus, and we exist between those two. And when these two forces together act upon us, we begin to feel that we are ascending. When they, as though, work on us, they push us up and then our attainment and our sensations of the upper state, we begin to feel a network of forces that govern us. So where do these desires and thoughts, energy, existence, where does this come from to us? Not like an animal in our world. We begin to sense an upper system. And so it comes to be that even still being in our world here, we begin to sense a network that exists above our world. And the person gradually begins to enter this upper system and becomes eternal, like the system itself.
положительная сила или от нас
this force, is it the positive force that's concealed from us, or the interaction between the positive force and all the entire system?
No, what's concealed from us is the positive force, and even when it begins to be revealed, still a certain amount of time is needed to begin to equalize, find equilibrium in these forces.
We have a question about that. Can you describe for us this point of concealment? What is
That there's none else
outside of the
besides him.
Creator?
Nothing else is hidden from you except this.
Его эгоистические силы или тоже от
What about the person's ego, his egoistic forces? Is it concealed or not?
No, once you begin to work on revealing the Creator, you see how much your egoism takes away your attention.
People don't feel that they're egoists, and that's concealed for them as well.
Because they don't aspire to reveal the Creator.
Question from Arjun. What if you start seeing that other people are reflections of your own qualities? Does that have to do with the spiritual world at this point?
Yeah, this is already a good degree.
And he continues, why does the Creator give me desires that harm me?
There's nothing bad in the world. You just have to bring everything to a certain equilibrium in the world.
So I don't need to restrict anything or deny them?
There's no evils in the world. There's also unbalanced good.
Donatas from Latvia asks, what is the Kabbalah's approach to the growth of immigration in Europe? Does it increase development?
Immigration to Europe very quickly helps Europeans to understand that you can't really stop this immigration. The world has become global. And in order for people to be able to live alongside each other, they need a method of coexistence. They need this positive force to exist between them, so that it would always function and help them connect and balance them. With this positive force. This force doesn't exist in our world. That's why the problems with immigrants and immigration will grow more and more. And if we want for all of this not to explode into a world war, we must bring into this world positive force, and this is the force of the Creator.
I have a question from Moldova. So it turns out that in our world, the Creator acts through all people in order to reveal His actions?
Yes, of course, it's beautiful.
Okay, so let's talk about the third restriction. Salam writes that it is the personal secret of the Creator. Only he who devotes himself to the idea of the Creator is revealed to them. That's why throughout the ages, Kabbalists have only accepted those students who had that aspiration to serve the Creator. But today, Kabbalah is revealed to everyone.
Because we came to such a state where this third rule, it almost doesn't exist. As Baruch Salam has labeled our generation, he called it last generation, and Ari and Marhu, these great Kabbalists of 16th century, write about this. They write about the fact that we reached a state where all people can study and all people can attain, and not only can, but they must. So we, based on their opinion, and you can't argue with these great authorities in Kabbalah. So we act as they say, as they tell us.
There's a continuation here. A lot of people were charlatans and were making a living by creating all sorts of amulets, removing hexes, and so on.
So it would have been better to take them as students so they wouldn't cause harm.
Yes, and following up on that, we have a question from Alina. How do we understand your statement that there is no evil in the world? By everything we've looked at the world, all of human history is evil. What do we do with this statement that there is no evil? Or does it mean that there is no evil for me, but there is, or there's evil for me, but not for you?
Yes, I will tell you why. Because all of the evil in the world is my own evil. It's my evil that I cannot balance with good, because I cannot say that it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist inside. It doesn't exist inside me. It says that each person judges to the degree of their corruption, and each person sees to the degree of their corruption. So let's come to a very simple understanding. I want to see the world perfect. I have to make myself perfect. And we will see that this is the way it is. It doesn't matter that it doesn't seem illogical to us, impossible. What does it have to do with the world? I see what happens all around me. And you and I have studied more than once through about perception of reality, that everything I see around me is simply a reflection. And if my reflection is so skewed, so what do I need to do? I need to change myself, right, Irina?
It's good that this information was concealed. Back in the Talmud, it's written that in the 3rd century, people who didn't know how to read or write, to reveal this kind of information for them, we understand why it was concealed. I have a question about the personal secret of the Creator. Can we imagine it so that there is nature, there's evolution, and then the time comes when some people, part of nature, right, they are awakened to become, to ascend, to be elevated to the next degree. But it doesn't depend on the human being at all. It's just nature.
Yeah, this when this is revealed, after that he has freedom of will.
But not before then.
Not before then. If, for example, there's 20 children and 1 or 2 of them have some interest, then that's the way it's going to be. I have to give everyone this opportunity, but I have to study with only those who have interest. So that's why we can't really do anything. But those who come to us and those who begin to study, with them we have to work, and to the rest we disseminate as much as we can.
That asks, what's going to happen when the Islamic world comes to Israel with all of their gripes? I think he's really asking what kind of religion everyone is going to accept afterwards. Rav, there will be no religion, because Judaism and the Christianity that came out of Judaism and Islam that came out of Judaism, all 3 of these religions, they're all beliefs of a human being into something. But that's it. It's blind faith. And I apologize for saying something that may offend you, but it's nothing more than that. Someone said something to me and I accept it on faith. My psychology suggests to me that I should accept it as though it exists. And there is no proof, right? No one has proof to me that the Creator exists or what the Creator is like. Every religion is naturally claims to have the truth, the ultimate truth, because there is no proof either way. So here, there cannot be any gripes against Kabbalah. Kabbalah doesn't talk about who's right and who's wrong. Kabbalah talks about the need to reveal the Creator. And then you will discover who He is, what kind of force He is, that permeates all nature and governs all nature. This is something that you need to understand and reveal. And not believe in this godling or that godling. There may be hundreds of them in the world. So that's not the point. You can remain in your religion. Baal Salam writes that every person can remain within the confines of their religion, because it's just tradition, culture. It helps to have like some sort of family order and so on. And aside from that, go ahead and discover, reveal this force that governs you and governs everything. That's what in Kabbalah calls the Creator.
So simply just want to say that it's the same thing for everybody, and everybody will just reveal this quality of bestowal.
Yes, and even when they reveal it, they will remain within the confines of religion, because religion helps people exist, to live, raise their kids. We don't all exist in the attainment of the Creator. It's only as we attain it, we will be able to see the harmony of everything. There won't be any opposition, any conflict. We'll see that the upper force, both in Judaism and in Christianity and in Islam, it's one and the same. It's one and the same.
Can you tell me what's concealed from you from a Kabbalist, for example?
What's concealed from a Kabbalist? The absolutism of the Creator that is gradually revealing, but every time that yet uncorrected qualities are revealed, and naturally against them, the Creator's concealment is revealed as well, and that's a problem.
So it seems that for us as regular people, it's just something that we have to believe in the Creator and reveal, and the Kabbalist already revealed the Creator. He doesn't really have a question whether to believe or not to believe.
Well, there is a problem, because the Creator is revealed to the extent that you can create the concealment against them, and then you attain the concealment against them.
I understand, but maybe something that the Kabbalist reveals something. What did he reveal?
He reveals not the concealed, but the concealment. He reveals his screen. How do I put this? It's a very crude example. It's not at all pertinent to Kabbalah, but there is a figure, like a bas-relief that exists. I take a canvas, I don't see the bas-relief, I look at the canvas, and I place it over the canvas, and I examine the canvas. That's what we're talking about when we say revelation. The reality is I reveal my own quality that is like the Creator.
So it appears to be that we never really reveal the Creator, only our qualities.
Correct, never. Only our qualities. You can never reveal the Creator
It comes
directly.
to be that I always love myself and I bestow to everyone?
You don't even have the desire to reveal Him. You don't. Our desire is not towards that at all.
So today for me, what's concealed is that I love everyone and I think about all and I bestow to everyone. For me, this is concealed.
Yes. Absolutely. All people in the world do only what the Creator tells them to do, bids them to do. And only from that point can they be called slaves of the Creator or the workers of the Creator.
Victor from Lvov is asking if the Creator is the only governing force that dictates everything. Why does the responsibility for my correction is on me and not on the Creator, if that's the only force that controls everything?
I wouldn't say that a person is obligated.
So you wouldn't say that he's obligated to do anything?
Anyone. If no one obligates you to do anything, if you feel bad, act. If you feel good, you do whatever you want. You are influenced upon with suffering, so that makes you go and do something. A Kabbalist is a person who willingly undertakes upon himself and wants to feel all these things because they allow him to advance.
Another question that we were sent earlier, that there's a lot of people who use Kabbalah for some fake reasons. They make money on it, they sell some amulets and all these things. What do I do about this?
You can't do anything about it. It's a side effect that always follows every other scientific discovery. Look at what happens in science. There is one theory that pops up, and suddenly a dozen others pop up alongside it that supposedly build on it or around it. That's natural.
And on the other hand, it's good that they go into this a little bit, they see that it's a complete lie, and that they can move on ahead.
Naturally. This is how we must advance.
So, Creator created the person in his likeness. So what does it mean in his likeness? Is there any difference between likeness and similarity?
I don't know how to translate it. Tselem. You understand the word tselem? I don't know. How do I explain this to you? It's when Malchut of the world of Absolute becomes like the Serampin of the world of Absolute and rises with him to Ishsut of the world of Absolute, into this Partsuf. And what follows is that Malchut and Zerampin in Ishsut together create a system called Mem Lamed Tzadik. Mem Lamed Tzadik are three letters, Lamed Tzed, called Lemetz. And when we read backwards from the bottom upward, called Meletz, meaning after the image in the Creator, the man was created. So what is man? He is one who can rise, ascend back through across Lamed Melet Tzelem and become like the Creator.
So everything's pretty clear. So the person who created, the person who should have created us as altruists, but he created us egoists.
He created us opposite to him, precisely so that we could reveal our oppositeness to him and attain him on our own volition.
So the translation is wrong. It's not the right similarity.
Of course, no, not only the translation, but the interpretation of it, generally speaking. No, you'd have to go back to the book of Zohar.
It's like if he was created from the rib of Adam.
By the way, our lessons at night, Zohar lessons, are they being translated?
Yeah, Zohar's been translated into nine books were translated into Russian. Everything's translated.
Okay, so this is what I would recommend very much. Be at our evening Zohar lessons because it gives us the surrounding light.
And there's a very special, very clean Russian translation.
It's very helpful.
You don't explain really a lot there. You don't explain a lot. We read a lot, but we don't clarify a lot.
I'll explain why I don't explain a lot. Because there are no explanations in Kabbalah. Kabbalah deals with not explanations to people. If you came to understand, then I'll be honest with you. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but Kabbalah is not going to explain anything to you. Kabbalah will teach you how to attain, how to reveal, how to understand everything on yourself. It will not give you knowledge like in physics, like in math. It will give you the method of attaining the upper world, and you will attain that world, and it will be your attainment. This is the only way that Kabbalah works.
So they're not going to think that you're big. It's not going to be like that?
No, you'll be able to attain the upper world on your own. And it will be revealed in you. The book itself will be revealed in you.
Can you tell me, what does it mean, single concealment or double concealment? Is there such thing that a creator is concealed from person twice?
It's like in our world, you have an action, for instance, that's revealed, and you have a person that actualizes that action. So the Creator has a double concealment. There is a single concealment and a concealment within the concealment.
But there you have already attainment that he exists, he's there, but he's concealed from you.
Yes, absolutely right.
Can I bring this example that if a person is concealed from my sensations and if he's concealed from my mind, is that double concealment? And only from my, if in my mind I understand that there's such a force, but in my feeling it's concealed, can I say that it's a single concealment?
Let's say this. Yes.
I have a lot of questions. We need to do blitz. During broadcast, do you feel the audience?
Generally, yes. Not necessarily the audience that's in front of me on the screens.
What does the combination, what does it mean? Why does the, why is it easier for Russian people to understand Kabbalah easier?
A Russian person is more flexible, more aimed
He
at
suffered more probably, yeah?
attaining. And because he suffered more, he's more likely, more open to collaborating. He's not so much of an individualist as many other nations. Everything that the Russian person has lived through, experienced, all the pressures from the time of imperial Russia and then from communism, it all imprinted onto him so many different things that now he is more ready to attain this upper force. It makes it easier for him to
And this
advance.
is all Russian speakers.
I don't know about Russian speakers or not, right? You can speak Russian and live in Africa, for instance. But I'm talking about generally the general collective that lives in that area.
It's possible that a person became similar to the Creator. Is there any sort of...
There is no pride here. It is the upper force that has created the desire to receive, the will to receive, to enjoy. And it wanted this force to become the desire to give pleasure, bestow pleasure. You don't need to give anything to anyone other than your desire to bestow. Everything else exists in nature in an infinite amount.
Can you explain what does it mean that I need to restrict the desire?
Restriction of a desire means not thinking about yourself.
What is love, and can I feel love in our world after understanding Kabbalah when I come to the group? Or can I feel it in everyday life?
Love means caring for another more than I care about myself. That's it. Simple.
What's the difference between love towards your friend in Kabbalistic understanding and in cultural, ethical understanding?
Their love is only advantageous to the extent that I feel that this person is part of me. I love him, my child, and so on. In Kabbalah, that has nothing to do. There is no closeness between people. I love other people because the upper light shines on me, and it gives me that quality, and it obligates me to actualize this commandment, love thy neighbor as thyself, to care for them more than I care for myself.
If a person does something bad, is it that the Creator wants him to do it, or some other evil forces?
We couldn't make sense of this. For this, we need to enter into the system and see how it operates through us.
So concealment of the Creator depends on my actions, or the Creator conceals himself?
We conceal the Creator. With our opposite qualities, we conceal the Creator.
The concealment of the matrix of forces of the Creator, does it depend on the three qualities that we discussed? How does he control us?
all three causes, or they act upon us at the same time, some more, some less at any given time.
Maybe another few announcements. Our next Mach Online course begins November 30th. Those who didn't start right now, they can start in the next beginning. And your wishes for the week.
My wishes are as follows. We're beginning to prepare for our next Congress. It's going to happen at the beginning of December, 3 weeks from now. December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So we invite all of you to participate. You don't need to come here physically. We're going to try to broadcast live from where we're going to be. Why do I say it? Because it's going to be taking place in the desert. We're going there for 3 days. But it will be a good gathering for all of our men. Only the men are going to be going. They will sleep in tents. And they will work on annulling themselves before the others.
Women are also gathering all around the world.
Yes, so in their centers. And we're going to try to do the broadcast from our centers. So this is what we are preparing for the next 3 weeks. And I recommend for everyone to be with us in this preparation. It's very useful, and it should bring us to reveal the first degree of the spiritual world. So be well, everyone, and I will see you next time. Take care.